Hey everybody, happy Thursday. I hope you're having a great week. And it's the third Thinking Thursday, and this week's theme is transportation. So if you haven't checked out the ones from the last couple weeks, we had Disney last week, and then food the first week. I guess food and drink, because I don't think it was all food. But yeah, so if you like this week, go back and you can probably find it. But anyways, this week is super hard, I realized. So, like, if you don't do too well, that's perfectly fine. I mean, every week, if you don't do too well, it's perfectly fine. Just for fun, and you can learn stuff. But, so yeah, this week is, like, really hard. So, if you do really good, congratulations. And if you don't, no worries, because it's really hard. All right, so let's jump into the first question. So, of these four options, which of them came first? So, A, truck, B, train, C, steamboat, and D, car. And if you haven't been here before, you're going to keep track of all the answers that you get correct, and then at the end you can see what you are. So we have a pretty cool image here of all these different modes of transportation. That's pretty cool. So the answer to question 1 is train. So on the 21st of February in 1804, the world's first steam-powered railway journey took place when a steam locomotive hauled a train across the tramway of the, I'm not going to pronounce this right, Penydarren Ironworks in UK, so in South Wales. So it's weird because when you look up when a railroad or when a railway is actually like developed, it's a lot later. So this is just one case, I guess. So if it weren't for this, the second would be steamboat, and then truck, and then car. So let's move on to question 2. So, which of these ships is well known for its sinking in 1912? We have the Lusitania, the Arizona, the Titanic, and the USS Indianapolis. Let's see what you think. So the answer to question 2 is Titanic. So we have a pretty cool painting here. So the RMS Titanic sank in the early morning hours of 1912 on the 15th of April. And it was in the North Atlantic Ocean. This was 4 days into the ship's maiden voyage for Southampton, or from Southampton to New York City. The funny thing is, before this actually happened, they said this is this great unsinkable ship, and it attracted all of these people to come onto the ship. And then it eventually hit an iceberg and sank. So a lot of people actually blame the captain, E.J. Smith, for sailing this humongous ship at such a high speed. And it eventually hit an iceberg. And they just thought it wasn't smart to go that fast in waters that are known to have icebergs in the North Atlantic. So many believe that Smith was purposely going this fast, trying to cross the times of the other Titanic White Star sister ship. So trying to make this ship the fastest of everything. So, and it was sort of reckless, and as we see in this picture, it sort of ended up pretty badly for them. So if you got that right, great job. If you didn't, great job too. So let's move on. Question 3. So this one is hard. What kind of car is this? We got a Porsche or a Porsche. I don't know what the correct pronunciation is. Honda, Ferrari, and Lamborghini. Let's see what you think. So I'm not a real big car guy, but I'll give you a couple quick facts about this. It's a Lamborghini. It's specifically, I could be pronouncing this wrong, the Lamborghini Huracan Evo. And it goes at a max 202 miles per hour, which is pretty fast. And it accelerates pretty fast too. It takes 2.9 seconds to speed up to the speed that any of us would normally go on the highway. So 2.9 seconds to around 60 miles per hour. So that's pretty good. Pretty fast car. So let's move on to question 4. So which one of these airlines has a hub based in Minnesota? If you don't know what a hub is, it's basically where the airline is based and keeps all of its it's its main airport where the airline keeps all of its airplanes. And there's like usually at a hub, that's where there's going to be the most flights available for that specific airline. So we have four options here. We have Sun Country, UPS, El Al, and American Airlines. So let's see what you think. All right. Hopefully you entered A, Sun Country Airlines. So I'm sure you've recognized this, and it's a pretty recognizable airline. But that's not the only one based in Minnesota. There's also Delta, both at MSP, Minneapolis St. Paul Airport. And Sun Country actually owns 35 airplanes, so that's pretty cool. Let's move on to question 5. In Minnesota, how old do you have to be to get a driver's license? Pretty simple options: 14, 15, 16, 18. So right here we have Avery Joseph. So I guess that's kind of cool, but this was just a sample of the new one they gave out. So hopefully you guessed C, 16. Oh, whoops. I wrote A. That's my mistake. Here, I'll quickly fill that in. Oof. There we go. Alright. So, in Minnesota, at 15 years old, you can get a permit where you can drive with an adult. To get this permit, you must attend a certain amount of classes and take a written test. And then at 16, the actual license is available, but you must have had a permit for a certain amount of time. I'm not sure right now about that. And you must have taken a few driving classes. I think it's 3. And you must also pass the driver's test. So I'm assuming for most of you that's going to be in a while, so nothing to worry about right now. All right, question 6. Which of these 4 options does not require a motor to operate? A, motorcycle. B, lawnmower. C, bicycle. D, garage door. So I am hoping you guessed C, bicycle. So we have a red bicycle here. So although some people do have motorized bicycles, so it makes it a lot easier and not as much exercise, but most bicycles are completely powered by the movement of your legs. Using a bicycle instead of a motor vehicle is known to be a lot better for the environment because it doesn't have a motor and it doesn't release any gases or doesn't release any exhaust that's bad for the environment. And also, it's important to mention that it's also a really good source of exercise. So let's move on to question 6. So which of these was the first satellite to go into orbit? First, I guess, human satellite. A, Rand. B, Explorer 1. C, Sputnik 1. D, Project Orbiter. And the answer to this one is C, Sputnik 1. So this is amid the space race so the Soviets used to be a country, it's kind of like a alliance of a bunch of countries, but now it was made up mostly of Russia, but back then it was called the Soviet Union, and there was this thing called the Cold War. It was basically a tension between the Soviets and the U.S. So, and amid these tensions, one part of it was just a space race. Who can prove to the other that they can get to space faster. So, in 1957, the Soviets successfully launched Sputnik into orbit. And it had power for 3 weeks, so it stayed in orbit for 3 weeks with continuing to operate, and then it died. And it took a couple months, and it eventually fell back to Earth. So yeah, that's the rundown on the Sputnik 1. So let's move to question 8. So which civilization is credited with inventing the wheel? So like just any wheel. Could be the wheel on a bicycle, could be a wheel on a car, on an airplane, on a bus, you name it. We have Israel, we have the USA, we have the ancient Greeks, and Mesopotamia. So let's see what you think. The answer is Mesopotamia. So wheels first appeared in ancient Mesopotamia, which is actually, if you've heard of Iraq today, that's around where it was. and this was more than 5,000 years ago. So Mesopotamia is not a civilization anymore. Iraq is still a thing, but it's where Iraq was. And they were originally used by potters to help shape clay. And then around 2000 BCE, so really long time ago, someone came up with the bright idea of cutting out pieces of wood to make the wheel lighter and faster. And this is what many think to be the origin of the wheels that are used on a lot of our motor vehicles today. So that's pretty cool. Which of these is not a type of boat? So this is question 9. A is rotorcraft, B is yacht, C is canoe, and D is motor. So the answer to question 9 is rotorcraft. So a rotorcraft is actually an airplane. It's a rotary wing aircraft. And it's a heavier than air flying machine. And the way it gets into the air is using these wings and blades that you see on the side, which revolve around this long thing that's called the mast. They generally include aircraft where one or more rotors provide lift through the entire flight. So, some helicopters are rotorcrafts. And then here I have a couple other names, but I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce them, but it's just a type of airplane. It's not a type of boat. So, question 10. Let's see if you can finish strong. Which state in the U.S. has the largest subway system? Minnesota, New York, Washington, and Chicago is not a state. And this isn't a state either. Technically, it's a district, but we're just going to switch this to Illinois. And we're just going to ignore that C is a district. But anyways, the answer to this one is B, New York. Good job if you got that right. 245 miles is the length of this subway. It's the largest rapid transit system in the world by number of stations as well. 472 total stations in operation. And these stations are located throughout the boroughs of Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx. These are all New York cities. So, yeah, great job, guys. So, let's see how you did. If you got in between 1 and 4 right, you're a casual traveler. You kind of just move along, go with the flow, kind of watch what modes of transportation you're using. Just kind of casual, you know? If you're 4 through 6, you're a frequent traveler. You're moving around a lot. You're paying attention to your surroundings. Yeah. If you're 7 through 9, you're an avid traveler. You love traveling. You're not just a frequent traveler. You're not just traveling around a lot. You actually enjoy it. You instead of doing something else in the car, you're just looking out the window and watching where you're going and trying to learn new things. And don't even get me started. If you're a 10, you're an expert. You know everything there needs to be known about transportation. It's almost like a hobby to you. You probably are going to go into engineering or something. It's just something you love, and yeah. So good job, everybody. I hope you had fun this week. I know this week was, in my opinion, there were a couple easy questions, but overall, I think it was maybe the hardest of the 3 weeks so far. So, if you got, pretty much any score, if you even got 1 right, that's pretty good. These are hard questions. So good job, everybody. I'll see you next week. Have a great finish to your week. And yeah, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.